Stan, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Welcome.
Appreciate you very, very busy. For anyone who doesn't know who you are or what you do, would you mind just giving a little background about yourself?
Yeah, I'll do it as concisely as possible, but I'm Stanley Chow, I'm from Manchester, I'm an illustrator, and I've been doing it for like 20 years or so, and yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell really.
So as soon as you came fresh out of uni, is that when you decided to go freelance, or were you working in and out of agencies?
No, I never worked in an agency. I was pretty much, I was freelancing whilst I was at art school basically, and I was just getting working for the council. So yeah, so I was getting work, and then I was getting work like from Oxford University Press, literally the week out of art school, and then it just kind of slowly progressed. Admittedly, I thought it'd be easy, but then it didn't really happen as easy as I expected, you know. So I spent a good few years working in my parents' chippy, and also spent a few years DJing in the centre of Manchester.
Oh, cool.
And didn't really establish myself really until about a decade of actually kind of messing around for like 10 years really.
So in terms of the style of illustration, you've obviously got quite a unique style now that everyone knows you for.
Yeah.
Did that come as soon as you started freelancing, or has that sort of developed over time?
Oh, it developed over time, because when I started freelancing, I was mainly like drawing with pens and painting and stuff basically. But then, and I was also kind of quite anti-digital, you know. I just wanted to paint basically. Painting was the direction I wanted to go into. But then, like I reckon when I was in my mid to late 20s, my dad decided to buy me a computer, and I thought, I don't want this computer. It's like, you know, no, this is the way forward. You need a computer, you know. So he bought a computer. I got the computer, learned how to use Photoshop, learned how to use Illustrator, and then realised actually my whole style changed purely because previously when I was painting, you'll take. I mean, I use a lot of flat colour, you see.
Sure.
So like painting a block of flat colour would take a couple of hours, but then I realised with Photoshop and using the computer, it's just a touch of a button, and like you fill the whole canvas with one colour basically, and that's like, okay, this is the way forward, you know. Yeah. So
the software almost led to your style, because you use a lot of sort of geometric shapes, and some of your most famous work is almost the simpler the design, the sort of stronger really. So at what point did you decide, right, that's the style that's working for me, that's where I feel comfortable?
When I realised it kind of looked good, you know, because you know, I look at most of my stuff and 90% of it is pretty rubbish, and then but you're just experimenting all the time, you know, and then you realise, actually, oh, I found something good here.
Yeah,
it's working. So once you see the kind of like embryonic stages of something that looks good, you just kind of keep hammering it and then things will just kind of evolve from there basically. It's the evolution more than anything else. I mean, this style kind of, you know, evolved. It was never something like that was, here's a style I created. It was, you know, I eventually kind of got there.
Sure. So do you feel that your style, you're still pushing it, or do you feel at the moment, okay, I'm happy with this, I like where it's going?
There's a bit of both. Well, what happens is, like, yeah, I'm always trying to push, but the thing is, like, you'll have clients who kind of like, oh, we like this style though.
Yeah.
So admittedly, I'd say in my first 10 years I was progressing all the time, but then when I hit on that style that became commercially successful, all the clients wanted that style, you see.
Sure.
So you weren't allowed to push because you try something new, and I said no, we prefer the like, you know, your older style basically. So that kind of slows you down in trying to progress basically. So
a lot of the work you do is sort of portrait work.
Yeah.
Did that come from any sort of one commission, or were you just working as an illustrator on various bits and pieces, and you felt you needed to do something just for you?
Well, with portraits is like all throughout school that I was good at portraits, you know, and then when I left art college, it was like, oh, but there's so many great portrait artists around. I'm not going to be able to compete with these guys. I found a niche kind of fashiony style.
Yep.
And I think that kind of a lifestyle illustration style basically, and I think that's easier to push and more comfortable in pushing that as an artist. Well, not as an artist, just as someone who's trying to find work basically, than actually trying to compete with the great portrait artist that I wanted to, that I admired so much. But then after maybe about 10, 11 years of kind of doing kind of lifestyle fashiony illustration, it dawned on me like I started hating it basically, and I needed to kind of find something that I loved again. So I just started doing portraits, and then from doing portraits, I mean, this was also at the same time when social media was kind of starting basically, I started putting these pictures on Tumblr and Twitter and stuff like that. People were picking up on it a lot quicker than anything else that I've done, you see, and that just gave me more confidence in wanting to do more portraits basically, and that's kind of how it grew. But it wasn't really one job. Well, yeah, it was two jobs actually. I did a kind of like a poster for the White Stripes, and then they took it on and moved it on, and I ended up working for the White Stripes eventually, you know. Wow. And then also I did one of a footballer. I did a Wayne Rooney. I put it on Twitter. Edgar Davids, the footballer, he saw it. He said, "I want one for myself," and it just kind of snowballed from there. Really, Like, there's loads of little kind of like loads of little things that I did, and it just kind of all the things that I did all kind of like led on to something else basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, so you're obviously well known for that style. Yeah. Do you feel like you've developed, without realising it, a personal brand?
Yeah, definitely. I realised that it was never. I never kind of came out and said, "This is what I'm going to do." Create a brand Stanley Chow, but it has kind of evolved like that in terms of I'm selling a lot of prints and I'm kind of getting a lot of exhibitions and and stuff like being interviewed by you. It's I never kind of set out for that to happen. I just wanted to draw pictures and maybe see the pictures end up in magazines and stuff. You know what I mean? But the kind of success I've garnered from drawing things that I like is kind of it's come as a surprise really.
So in terms of the work that you take on, I assume it's sort of thick and fast, that it's constantly going. Yeah. How do you go about choosing the right projects for you?
Well, it's generally saying yes to everything. It's not even a matter of choice. It's like because what I'm realising now is it's like the ones I kind of it goes without saying, like the ones that pay peanuts, I tend to kind of like push away now. But don't get me wrong, about 2 or 3 years ago, I would have happily done it basically. But because it is so busy, you end up doing projects that look interesting. And what's happening now is like as my reputation is kind of growing, you are finding yourself like I'm finding like more and more interesting clients are kind of approaching me now. So I'm doing very diverse and different things now, which I've never done before, and it actually becomes a point where it's not even the pay now. It's like, oh, this is a really interesting project. Yeah. So I'll take that project on purely because it's interesting and something I've not done before.
So although financially that's one big factor, but since you have developed this brand, picking something that's interesting to you, but also that wouldn't harm your brand, because obviously your style's very very unique. Everyone knows it. Yeah. And if it goes out on something that's not very good, then obviously that sort of damages your brand. So you're very active on social media, Instagram in particular. Yeah. What social media platforms do you favour the most?
I think Instagram is the easiest one, just because it's so simple. Really, you just click a button and it's up there. I mean, like before that, it was Tumblr. Tumblr was essentially what Instagram is now, but the whole Tumblr interface was so clunky and even though it's not clunky anymore, but it kind of put you off, and then when you started noticing people who were using Tumblr and just going on Tumblr to look at images, they've all moved on to like Instagram basically, because it's such a easy interface to use and it's so accessible. So that's the favoured platform, but admittedly at the same time it's so saturated with other artists and other people and people who you don't want. And everyone's being hacked and all that kind of nonsense. That's the problem when something becomes so successful. Yeah, something that's good, something bad will just definitely just come in and kind of ruin it for everyone.
Absolutely. So in terms of your Instagram feed, you switch things up quite a lot. So you put out work, and then you'll also put out what you're having for lunch.
Yeah.
Do you think it's important to sort of break things up like that?
To be perfectly honest with you, I wanted to do two kind of Instagram Instagram accounts. One which is just purely artwork, and one which is just kind of more my lifestyle. But I just couldn't be bothered switching from one to the other. So sod it. I'm just gonna, But now I'm finding it's actually good to kind of. I think people are interested in what illustrators do. You know what I mean? There's some people. There are some people who are fascinated by your work and then they want to know a bit more. You know, because without blowing my trumpet too much, there are some people who see some artists as kind of as minor celebs in a weird way, and then it's the whole thing like what do they do, what they have for lunch, or where they've been on holiday. That kind of thing is always kind of good, but also it works in a way like if I'm abroad or anywhere, like especially if it's in New York and like I'm Instagramming places in New York I've been to, like there are people, other artists and other people who are interested in my work who will just hook up with me basically, and end up kind of hanging out with people who you've never met before, but having an interesting discussion because you're talking about the same stuff basically.
Oh wow! So who do you follow on Instagram? Who do you look at their work or just interested about their lives? Like
when I first started on Instagram, I was following like loads of celebs, artists, just friends basically. But then over time, it's not interesting what celebrities do. To be honest with you, I don't want them, because 99% of the time it's just selfies of them basically. With people, which is like, fuck that shit. So basically, so now deleting most kind of like high profile people. I just tend to follow artists basically, and designers and more interested in, and other photographers basically. They're the kind of people I tend to follow on Instagram.
So in terms of people who, do you feel like you're still influenced by other artists, or do you try and steer away from other illustrators in case you sort of are over influenced and take on any other style?
Well, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like I actually kind of, I feel I'm influenced by every single facet of design. Anyway, So seeing someone else's work, and if I might kind of like, oh, they've done something interesting, and I'll just might pull it into my work. I don't think that's a necessarily bad thing. It's I'm influenced every day by walking down the street. It's like you'll see an advert or something, or a billboard poster and something. That's really cool. And I don't go out intentionally to like nick an idea, but it would have kind of subconsciously filtered in. If I like something, it'll be in there.
Absolutely.
And maybe it'll manifest itself in a way in my work basically.
Okay, cool. So in terms of your style, do you have like a list of a company or a brand that you would like to work with that you've not already worked with?
No, I don't have lists as such. I guess there's I know who I work for, so I don't really kind of. So yeah, they're like ticks off. Yeah, I've done Man United, I've done Apple, done Adidas, done Nike, and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of, so yeah. But if any of those come back, it's great. The thing that I'm not really kind of delved into, and like, is to do more gig posters and do more film posters. Actual posters. They're kind of, like. I like my illustrations like to be juxtaposed with type and stuff, So yeah, I like to do more book covers, that kind of thing, and I'd say film posters and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I'm not really kind of, done enough of. But having said that, in terms of clients and doing adverts and marketing campaigns and stuff like that, I've worked for pretty much all the big corporate brands that I need to work for. Well, when I say need to work for,
sure.
I've been approached by them and worked for them, so it's all. Yeah.
So working with type and things, then, is that something that you have an interest in working with, or you like to see your work
Both really. I mean, we're talking about the first shop cans, you know, like the beer cans I've been working on, and like, you know, that's just pure type basically, and
sure.
And yeah, it's something it's always interested me, but I've been so busy doing this bit. It's kind of I've spent less time doing this, but now I am trying to, you know, merge the two, and like I do get kind of pure type jobs, and I do get, and I want to kind of, yeah, I just want to kind of.
So were you classically trained in typography, or is
no,
that something
not really.
that's developed?
It's just something that's developed. I mean, like the thing about, I mean, like I wasn't even classically trained as an artist. You know, in terms of like, because the art courses we did were all conceptual. You see, I mean,
Yeah.
like, back in the day, they care more about concept than actual technique. You see, so we wouldn't talk about technique at all at any point in my life. And with type, it's, if it looks good, it looks good. You know, there's obviously kind of rules in type that you have to adhere to. I don't know those rules, but looking at enough posters and stuff,
sure,
you take them on board and you learn them. You know, I've learned all these things without actually having to. It's like doing Open University without actually kind of doing the actual official course. Really, you know, we all have like art degrees and like diplomas and stuff, but essentially it's the experience of actually doing it that's your training. I don't think, you know, you kind of taught things, but ultimately you learn more, I think, by every single picture that you draw. And
sure,
I think
in terms of the pictures that you do, a lot of your work seems quite reactive. Like as soon as something happens, bang, an illustration goes out for that. Is that something that you consciously do? Right, I'm going to do an illustration for that, or do you have like a bank of them saved? How does it work?
a bit of both, really. I mean, obviously, you know, you want to, you do that kind of thing just to kind of like, keep your social media kind of like followers like happy. You know,
totally,
because that's what they, you know, and like it's at the same time it still builds up your reputation. You know, I mean, it's something I do less now than I used to, but you know, it's but when my kids were really young, when I had, you know, and I had more time,
yeah,
it's like, okay, I've got a few hours to spare here. What can I do? I'll just do that. You know what I mean? So that's when I do it. I do it like, but now, because I used to do it so much, there is a bank of stuff now. You know what I mean?
No, I imagine.
So it's kind of like, I did a picture. I'll save that until next year. You know?
Yeah, when the album comes out, I'll keep that one to one side.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So, obviously you started sort of sketching around.
Yeah.
Do you ever go back to the pen and paper?
I've started doing that now, actually. You know, like, I mean, I used to be alright with pen and paper, but after like 15 years of not actually drawing properly, I've kind of like, when I do have a bit of downtime, I'll start sketching a bit, you know, but it's few and far between, and I should do it more. But I say, you know, it's kind of the victim of my success, really, in that I'm having to do the actual work I need to do, and the work that I want to do.
Yeah, of course.
I know I've less time to do, really.
Have you ever tried with the tablet or?
Yeah, I tried with them. I mean, I remember spending about 800 quid on a Wacom tablet, and I used it like twice. I thought, and you know, it's great, but it just doesn't. I can't do because you know, when you're talking about a style developing.
Yeah.
At the same time, I also had a style in my head. You see, and working with a tablet just doesn't. I can't produce what's in my head onto the screen or whatever, you know.
So in terms of software, then I take it Illustrator plays a huge.
Yeah.
Is it just Illustrator?
Well, I started out with Photoshop. It used to be like I used to cut out shapes and then scan them in and move them around and stuff, and then I realised you can do that all in Illustrator. So I moved to Illustrator, and now I'm kind of like, because I'm trying to develop what I'm doing, I'm going back into Photoshop again and messing around with Photoshop, and then I kind of go back and forth Photoshop and Illustrator now. Like, I'll say most of the jobs I do is or illustration I do, it's like 90% Illustrator, and then, you know, a bit of touching up on or retouching even, sorry.
Yeah.
like retouching up on Photoshop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then bringing it back in again, you know, so yeah.
Have you taken many of your illustrations into animation?
I've actually animated a video, like I did a video for Greater Manchester Transport. So we had to do some promotional videos, and I've done that. I worked with Aardman with the BBC. Like we did like a whole few we did a bit of what they call in between shows, a little kind of VTs that they
sure.
have. Yeah, I mean, and I'm just doing some work with ITV now. I just done the title sequence for a new comedy game show.
Oh wow!
So I kind of like when I say I dip my toe in, it's purely like I don't kind of like actively seek animation work because I generally can't be bothered. But if an animation company or anyone who does kind of moving graphics want to work with me, then I'm happy to kind of
sure
do work with them basically.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what's next? What have you got lined up that you're allowed to talk about?
I've got an exhibition in the Box Park area in Shoreditch. Like that's coming up during the World Cup. So yeah, so they want a whole load of football pictures there, and then I've got an exhibition at the Great Northern Exhibition, I think it's called, and it's like this. It's based in Gateshead, and it's like a 3-month thing.
Oh, cool!
That's happening. It's celebrating Northern artists basically. It starts at the end of June, so that should be quite interesting. So yeah, so I'm basically illustrating a bunch of musicians, and the project I've been asked to do is like 100 great Northern songs.
Oh wow!
So I've been asked to produce a bunch of illustrations that reflect 100 songs basically. Yeah.
So what kind of music are you into then?
I'm mainly into 70s rock, psychedelia kind of funk and soul. I like all sorts really. I mean, I'm realising asking me that question, anything that's 70s and that's rocky and a bit psychedelic is what I'm into. But now because I've got 2 kids and they're listening to all sorts of crap.
Yeah. I'm
actually quite liking it. You know what I mean? So it's all kind of quite. I like it. I like all sorts really. I mean, I'll have Classic FM on like whenever but yeah.
So that's a good point. What do you listen to when you're working? Does it totally depend on per project or how you're feeling?
It depends on the mood really. Like usually in the morning I'll listen to the news. It's and then after lunchtime it's generally pretty quiet because I'm trying to get into the zone basically.
Sure.
But once you hit the zone, then I'll just kind of randomly put a Genius playlist on. So it's.
Are you a vinyl man?
I am a vinyl man. Yeah. I'm pretty much. I buy vinyl all the time. Too much really.
It's a sickness.
It is a sickness to the point where like half the records I bought I'm not even listening to. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's. But yes, I used to DJ. So.
Oh yeah, of course.
So that was that's where the vinyl kind of junkiness kind of started really.
Once it's got you, it's got you.
Oh no, yeah.
All right, well, Stan, thank you so much for today.
You're welcome.
It's been great. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
So take care.
Thank you very much.